Well, I don't know what happened to spring because we jumped right into summer. It is hot out there. We're cooling off today at the Frank Crane Arena for the final game of the Western Canada Cup. Thank you.
Step for re-entry?
Sure. Thank you.
On today's show, Trashing the Sea, students are making a difference, geeks, fans, and superheroes, and are you willing to run for public office? That and more in the next 30 minutes.
You are watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4, and today we are here at the 23rd and final game of the inaugural Western Canada Cup. It's been running here at the Frank Crane Arena in Nanaimo since April the 26th. Now, yesterday, the hometown Clippers faced off against the Yorkton Terriers, and here now is Matt Carter with highlights from that game.
Thanks very much, Kate. Game 5 of the Western Canada Cup starts off with a bang for the Clippers. Chris Rigas from the point and a goal! 2:54 into the first period. Somewhere, Frank Ney is smiling. And only 11 seconds later, Greg Fraser intercepts the clearing attempt and goes glove side on Dawson McCauley. 11 seconds! I've had first dates that don't last that long. 2-0 Clippers. Yorkton gets on the board at 10:38 of the first. Tyler garbles home a rebound after some excellent saves from Jason Argue, putting on the splits. 2-1 after one. Yorkton ties it up on the power play at 4:18 of the second. Devin McMullen with the sublime deflection, reminiscent of a young Joe Mullen. The Terriers then take the lead as the point shot deflects off of Nick Gushu right to Dakota Odgers. He goes backhand. I am the great Five-Holio. Yorkton up 3-2. But 2 minutes later on the power play, Josh Bryan sends it through, scores! Goaltender McCauley feeling home alone on that one. The second period ends with the teams tied at 3 with 30 shots apiece. But in the third period, following an Argue save and scramble, Caleb Gervais knocks the puck over Argue to score, and he celebrates with the Yorkton ceremonial groin hug. Groin hug! This is a highlights package. The Terriers strike again at 17:24 of the third period when a tricky shot from Jeremy Johnson sails into the corner of the net. At the buzzer, the Yorkton Terriers from Saskatchewan celebrate a 5-3 win in a game that thrilled fans of both teams. The Nanaimo Clippers season and their run at the Western Canada Cup now comes to a close. Following the 5-3 loss to the Yorkton Terriers, the home team fared very, very well against the provincial champions from BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. Great entertainment for the fan and a lot of optimism for next year. Now, before she finds my secret stash of popcorn, let's throw it back to Kate.
Too late, Matt. I'm going to see if Todd can get it in his mouth. There's popcorn all over the camera. Almost. You're watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4, and we are here at the final game of the Western Canada Cup. And the winners of tonight's game, we've got the Yorkton Terriers facing off against the Brooks Bandits. The winner of this game will go to the championships and face the Surrey Eagles in Prince Edward Island, on Prince Edward Island, starting on May 11th. And we're going to bring you highlights from this game throughout the course of the next 30 minutes. And I can see Todd behind the camera munching on that popcorn. We're going to throw things over now to Annette Lucas. When you see garbage on the beach, you usually think, oh, bad thing. Well, she hooks up with a group of students who are turning a bad thing into something good. There are some die-hard fans here. We're about halfway through the first period. Yorkton, Saskatchewan has a population of about 20,000. 60 of the Yorkton Terriers' biggest fans are here screaming right now. We're going to bring you highlights from the final game in the Western Canada Cup throughout this edition of Go Island.
Still ahead today on Go Island, a passion for fantasy, sci-fi, superheroes, and more. And would you put yourself in the critical spotlight of public office? That and more still to come today on Go Island.
You are watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4, and we're here at Frank Crane Arena. The first period of the final game in the Western Canada Cup is over, and I'm not going to lie to you. I have no idea what happened. I don't know if this is good hockey, bad hockey. I didn't even know that a period was 20 minutes long. But the guy who was paying attention, who's here to pay attention, knows a lot about hockey, Matt Carter.
Sorry, thanks so much, Kate. All right, yeah, let's go right now. Check out the highlights here of the first period. The goaltenders were large and in charge in the first period, with Brooks goalie Michael Frederick stoning Nathan Murray and Taylor Thompson on an early in-close chance. 8 minutes later, Jeremy Johnson flies up the left side, but Frederick says, no, you don't. Brooks comes back 8 minutes later when Shane Pilling throws it at the net. Huge scramble in front, but Yorkton goalie Dawson McCauley, they call him Fort Yorkton, holds it out. The period ends in a 0-0 tie.
And at the end of the period, shots were 10-7 for the Yorkton Terriers over the Brooks Bandits. Well, truth of the matter is I know quite a bit about hockey, but I have no idea what's coming up next on Go Island. So for that, let's throw it right back over to Kate.
Well, it's a good thing that I think I know what's coming up next on Go Island. Thanks, Matt. We'll have more highlights from the final game later on this edition of Go. But it's all about comic books now. On Free Comic Book Day, geeks and sci-fi freaks and anyone else who just loves the world of comics get together. They're in their element, and I will not dare call Derek Johnstone a geek. I'm going to call him a superhero. Derek Johnstone is definitely our very own superhero here at Shaw TV. We've come to the end of the second period in the final game at the Western Canada Cup. I think I know a little bit more about hockey than I did coming into this game. One thing I do know is that in this arena, the Frank Crane, you cannot have a beer and a seat at the same time. You can't buy water, but you can buy grape-flavored water. I'm going to suggest that they make beer-flavored water, and then everybody will be happy. Now, I think if I'm correct in my judgment, don't quote me on it, I think the second period was a lot more exciting than the first.
Thank you very much, Kate. And yes, your knowledge is increasing. The second period, indeed, much more exciting than the first period. We have a goal to show you right here, so grab your beer-flavored water, and let's get right to it.
Yorkton nearly opens the score on the power play after a turnover behind the net. The puck deflects to Taylor Thompson, who goes clank off the far post. Brooks comes back when Madison Smiley throws it on net, bounces out to Anthony Paskaruk, but they can't beat the 6'6" McCauley. Brooks opens the score at 11:27 when Mark Logan, like a Wolverine, stuffs the wraparound through McCauley. 1-0 Bandits of Alberta. Yorkton nearly ties it up when a shot from the point pinballs through a crowd to Patrick Martins, but the desperate lunge from Dakota Mason deflects the backhander, and Brooks holds it out.
So again, after the end of the second period, Brooks up 1-0, but the Terriers are up 18-14 in shots, so a lot of pressure there. So we'll see here what happens in the third period. Now we're going to throw it back over to Kate.
Well, I'm actually not far away because I heard something about beer-flavored water. That looks pretty. I'll take this one.
Take the light one?
Yeah.
All right,
Cheers. Thank you very much. We are standing, take note, in the beer garden because we cannot sit.
No seats.
And drink beer here at Frank Crane Arena. Now, as a guy, do you check out women in spandex when they're riding their bicycles?
The answer is yes, and 1 out of every 10 times you get the gender wrong, and it's really awkward. So,
I don't think that's a good thing. Well, there's a lady in Victoria who might have an answer to that problem. She's working on developing cycling gear that is even sexier than it already is. Here's Nikki Iwanishin. You're watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4. The game is over. The final period has been played. The game has been won and lost. The teams are shaking hands, but I'm not going to tell you anything about it because that's Matt Carter's job.
The third period was tense with few shots either way, but the Terriers pressed with 2 minutes left with a rugby-like scrum in front of Frederick. The puck squirts out to Taylor Thompson, who tries to flip it high into the net, but no go! The hockey gods assert their presence. The game remains 1-0 Brooks. The desperate Yorkton Terriers pull the goalie in the last minute, and with 17 seconds remaining, Jeremy Johnson skates in front. Let's go the backhander, but Frederick makes the sprawling save. And that's as close as the Yorkton Terriers would come. The Alberta champion Brooks Bandits celebrate their second place victory at the Western Canada Cup.
So there you have it. The Yorkton Terriers do outshoot the Brooks Bandits 23-20, but the Brooks Bandits take home the win 1-0 to move along to the RBC Cup next week in Summerside, PEI, along with the champion of WCC, the Surrey Eagles. All right, congratulations to all the teams. Great tournament here. And now for more on Go Island, let's throw it back over to Kate.
Oh, I almost caught it. Well, just like the Yorkton Terriers are looking for new careers, searching, struggling, the politicians in the current election are looking, searching, hoping to win your vote. We can all sit back on our couches and criticize and judge, but how many of us actually have the guts to put your name in the hat to run in a provincial election? Here's Dan Kahn with Word on the Street. That brings us to the end of this edition of Go Island and the end of the inaugural Western Canada Cup here at Frank Crane Arena in Nanaimo. There is no one who knows the last 7 to 10 days, perhaps more closely, than Dan Marshall. He has been announcing all the games for the Western Canada Cup. A success, the new tournament?
I think so. I think everyone enjoyed themselves. The hockey was fantastic. And what I'm hearing is that 5 teams are in it. And instead of having 2 champions of 7 games, what you have is a bunch of cities getting together, fans traveling, and the hockey is at a high level, and it's one-off. So you get to see teams you'd never normally see, and Brooks very happy as the runner-up champions, Surrey very happy as the champions, and the folks from Nanaimo happy that their team made it right through to the playoffs after they were knocked out early, but they were a playoff team in this Western Canada Cup.
And what's the next step? Where do the teams go from here?
Now it's on to the Nationals, so it's coast to coast. It's Summerside, Prince Edward Island. It's next Saturday, so you've got the Surrey Eagles and the Brooks Bandits, the 2 winners from Saturday and Sunday, moving on, and they are both going to open up against Truro, Nova Scotia. First of all, you're going to have Brooks on Saturday and Surrey on Sunday, but playing Truro, Nova Scotia. A truly national event is what they're getting to go to.
Excellent. Now, behind the scenes, it took a lot of volunteers, a lot of people, and you saw everybody just jump right in, give it their all to make it possible for Nanaimo.
The volunteers might be what the out-of-towners remember the most. It's just how helpful they were, how much they knew everything that was going on, whether it's bringing fans information, bringing people water. They were just so good. They knew what their duties were. Everybody had a smile on their face, even on those 2 game days, which were so long. People were here for 9 and 10 hours, but they were so good. And I think that's what the people from Yorkton and from Steinbach and from Brooks and Surrey will take away, that Nanaimo is a city with great people in it.
Excellent. Thanks, Dan. I know he's busy. He's got a lot to do still. Dan, thank you for your time. Thank you for watching this edition of Go Island. We'll see you next time.